Welcome to Blue Collar Mystics, the under-the-hood approach to the depths of human consciousness. So many mysteries, so little time, so many big words. That's why we aim to take the mystical and make it practical, usable in your everyday life. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear your story. What happened when you started asking yourself the real questions? Like, who am I? What is this? Is it a hologram? Is this some kind of weird cosmic joke? Hey, these are the questions that we are trying to get to the bottom of as we explore the final rabbit hole together here as Blue Collar Mystics. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this live stream. We're on a Transurfing Safari, myself and Abby Johnson. Welcome, Abby. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am. I've been getting ready to hit the road all day, doing laundry and cleaning the house and packing suitcases and stuff. And we were just talking a little bit about what your frustrations are being on the road as a bodybuilder, having to pack all your meals and figure all that out. I can only imagine.
Oh, it's nuts. And then last time I went to the airport to go meet with the Secret Society of Good Guys in real life. And when I went, I put all my protein in individual, so I wouldn't have to bring my scale, which I brought it anyway. But I put all my protein powder in individual baggies. And usually nobody has any problem with it. Well, my bag beeps, right? So every individual bag, they have to swab because apparently protein powder has something that's similar to ingredients in bombs. So then they had to swab my entire bag, every single compartment. So yeah, good thing I wasn't running late.
Wow.
But it's like you do all this footwork so that way you can eat all your meals, because you're eating on a meal plan, you eat what you're supposed to eat all the time. So on top of laundry and packing all this other things, you do all that, and then it backfires.
Yeah, that's hilarious, But yeah, I don't know. It's probably one of my favorite feelings to just be about to go somewhere, embark on a new adventure. You're not really sure what's going to happen. You have some ideas, but there's going to be surprises, and it's exciting, My grandfather used to say before, like, a big fishing trip, he would say, like, the anticipation is the best part. I hated it when he said that. But then I would just lay on the couch and have visions in my head of catching giant bass, and then we would wake up the next morning at 5:30, load the fishing boat up and stop by the gas station, get some mealworms and like a Yoo-hoo chocolate drink or something. And then we'd get out onto the lake and catch nothing. I remember when the childproof lighters first came out, and he got a childproof lighter from the gas station, and he was a big time smoker. And we get halfway out into the lake, sit down, he drops the anchor or whatever. He starts trying to light his cigarette and he can't figure it out.
Oh, shoot.
He just lost it, fucking tossed the lighter in the lake, and then we just went right back into shore, dude.
Yeah, you gotta have a cigarette.
Oh, I mean, you don't go out into the middle of the lake for peace and quiet and not have a cigarette, right? Like if you're
Hell
a
no.
smoker, oh my God, it was so funny. But no, I'm really
That's funny.
excited. We're headed out. I'll be in Florida for a couple of days and then over to New Orleans. And what I really want to try to do is make some videos while I'm out on the road. I'm going to try and stop at this place that is supposedly the Fountain of Youth, the old Fountain of Youth. It's like Ponce de Leon Springs in North Florida. So we're going to stop there tomorrow, try and shoot a video and have that up. Try to shoot a video while we're at the beach, and just try to make some fun content along the way and kind of engage on the tour as well.
So are you aiming for 25 in the Fountain of Youth or what?
No, I'm just trying to stay here where I'm at. I'm just gonna kick it
Level off. We're good.
Neutral 41. We're good right
There
here. I'm fine with that. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I've seen photos of it. It's absolutely a beautiful place. So I don't really know much about the lore of it, but I do know that it's like really pretty and it'll be a great backdrop to shoot a video or two on. And if anybody has suggestions on topics or ideas for videos, shoot me a message. If you're going to be in New Orleans this weekend, shoot me a message. If you're going to the Grimerica thing for the eclipse, shoot me a message. If you're going to be in Austin on the 9th or 10th, shoot me a message, or Houston on the 11th, or Panama City on the 12th and 13th. We're kicking it off Panama City, and then we're basically ending it there as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to try to make the most of the time and make some fun, cool content, post it up on the YouTube channel. So anybody has ideas or suggestions, I'm all ears. I'm here to please. But yeah, I've been making obviously a bunch of transurfing stuff. I feel like there's some good videos I've been putting up lately. Check into that stuff, and I'll continue on that as a topic, but I'll probably try to pick some more like nuanced things out. Perhaps this chapter that we're discussing today might be a really good option for a case study.
Are you going to practice it?
100%. Yeah. And this is honestly, this chapter, what we're talking about today, which is like a weird word if you're unfamiliar with reality transurfing, called frailing, is one of the more nuanced chapters and something that I definitely need to continue to practice. I have a couple of examples of this principle working in action, but it's something that I definitely need to understand better and get a clearer grasp of in the moment, experientially, I would say.
Same. I think when I've read this chapter in the past, it wasn't that exciting to me. So it was something that I'm like, okay, I get it conceptually wise and all of that, but like, I don't know. I was more excited about a lot of the other things. So
yeah,
one of my greater practices.
Yeah, fair enough. And this is something that I think it's very helpful. It goes hand in hand with outer intention. So we're gonna break this down to the best of our ability. Obviously, we're all ears up here too, y'all out there in the chat. Appreciate y'all being out there. I see your comments. Thank you for hanging out and kicking it. Much love. And yeah, so don't hesitate to chime in there in the chat. You guys are great. We definitely want to interact on this. But the idea basically to start it all off is frailing, which is like this weird word nobody's ever heard, I don't think, until this book. But he says earlier in the book that every soul has a frail, or basically it's the shape of the soul. That's the way I could probably think of it. One of the specific sort of metaphors in this book is that we are like a suspended drop in the air of the ocean. And that's kind of what this incarnation is as a life form, as a human being in this experience, that we are like a drop of the ocean suspended. So we have these parameters that define us as our soul. We have a specific shape that our heart or soul is. And because of that shape, we have a personality. We are a specific and unique expression of the infinite, of the divine. And in that form, eventually we will once again rejoin the ocean. But while we're here in that form, we want to embrace the shape of that soul to the fullest. That's what's going to give us the maximum experience here, so to speak. And,
you know what's ironic? As I was talking with Chat GPT last night, and I made it summarize the Gospel of Judas for me from the Gnostic Gospels. And that was one of the big takeaways, is that you're a fractal of God. Like, so I thought it was kind of funny because it's the same idea, the whole droplet in the ocean thing.
yeah, I love that. There's that Rumi quote too that I probably quote way too much, but I love it so much. It's like, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. And what Vadim says in this book is that what enlightenment is realizing that you are the ocean while you are also separated from it, which makes sense, right? And for our purposes, we're not trying to attain enlightenment or anything like that. We're just simply trying to attain our goal, which is the desire or the mission, of our heart, the thing that it is seeking, that it wants, that it's living here for. Because like, our heart can go and do what the hell ever in the dream space, no problem. And there's nothing off limits to it. But for some reason, it wants to experience it in this fashion. You know what I mean? What's so funny?
Oh, I was just thinking about my dream last night. I'm not getting into it.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so we want to express ourselves and have what it is that our heart wants, that it came into the world for. And what this chapter is really about is understanding that everyone has that a specific shape, a specific disposition, personality in its own reality, and that everyone has their own desires. And by understanding that, we can kind of take that knowledge and, for lack of a better way to say, leverage it, help them find what they're looking for. And by helping them find what they're looking for, we can also find or get whatever it is that we want as well. So on the surface, it could be taken a few different ways. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That's a big sort of thing. I recently heard a comedian have the best take on that, because he's like, the Bible says to do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So he's like, I'm just going around giving everybody blowjobs. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm just everyone.
Period.
Yeah, I'm like, that's hilarious. But but the idea is a little bit more nuanced than just do nice things for other people for the sake of it, right? Like, he's saying, do onto others as they wish to have done onto them, and then you will get in return what it is that you would like yourself. So that's more what this has to do. So there is a little bit of a twist in here. To me, this is like win-win. To me, frailing is like the micro, and outer intention is like the macro. So it's like, this is how we can basically use outer intention in an individual way, back and forth between us. And so I'll try and give a simple example at least. So let's say that I'm hanging out with my sister and I really want to talk. I've got some stuff on my chest. I really want to get it out. If I sit down and I let her talk and just get everything that she wants to get out and listen and be a true, genuine ear for her, which is what I want ultimately, is for her to be a genuine ear for me. If I give that first to her and listen and let her get all the stuff out, then when she finishes, she will want to reciprocate and listen and give me what it is that I would like, which is to be heard and understood and talk. So from a simple perspective, that's one example of the idea of frailing. To kind of get it started.
Comes from the idea of every person is not, when they're interacting with you and thinking about you, they're still really thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
So we all do it. You're thinking about how, are they going to do what I want? Are they going to, like me, whatever? It could be anything, but they're kind of thinking the same thing. So if they're doing that, then the idea is with, like, in order to activate their inner or outer intention, like to get them to see you from the heart and want to genuinely help you to accomplish your goals and your missions or whatever, or just your goal with them, is to find what is their frail, what is their soul looking for. And half the time it is just to be heard, just to show them, to be a good ear to listen and to genuinely show interest and come from the heart. And in doing that, it really just makes them soften to you and then ultimately want to help you do what you need.
Yeah, it's a very it's very interesting because we are all self-motivated, which is not a bad thing. I think it's a great thing to just go ahead and acknowledge that, right? Like, you're not escaping the boundaries. I mean, maybe you can do astral projection or whatever, but, like, you got to take care of your meat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to take care of your body and things around you. So we all have to be self-interested too. But that's why I like this book so much, is because it's like an individualistic sort of approach to spirituality. So what we're looking for here is not just give yourself and sacrifice yourself for the good of the group, because that's that's sacrificial. We're looking for a win-win. We want everybody to get what it is that they want. And ironically, the way to do that is not by asserting your needs first, but by figuring out what other people need and then using that information to help them. He even talks a little bit about visualization and stuff like that. So let's distinguish a little bit between inner intention and outer intention. So like inner intention being that you're going to take action, you're going to sort of manipulate the world and push it around in order to get what it is that you want. Whereas outer intention, you're sort of keying off the world and the alternatives flow, kind of pinging and figuring out what the world needs in order to give that from what you have, right? Like, kind of looking for a win-win, or really even a win-win-win would be ideal. Whereas inner intention is more like win-lose, maybe win-win, but often just descends into more of a needy and I would say
You're less likely to get what you want from people if you're only concerned with yourself. I think that's right. I mean,
yeah, exactly. You're going to push.
you're acting with outer intention or inner intention. You're just pushing, and when people push you, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Push back.
Resist. Yeah. Push back. Yeah. So, ultimately what he talks about in this chapter is that we all are looking for self-worth at the basic level of our existence. So by acknowledging someone's excellent traits, by making them feel good about themselves, by giving them, a good compliment that's fitting and suiting for the moment, by acknowledging their strengths, or saying that they were right about something, doing those types of things that makes them feel better about themselves and enhances their self-worth. And because that's coming from you, then they naturally sort of tie you into that and not necessarily give you credit for it, but they associate you with that sort of bump in self-worth. We're all looking for that. So it's always good and like he says in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's like, seek first to understand, then to be understood. It's like, it's always good if we can figure out how to validate someone else, and especially their strengths, something that we admire about them, that enhances their self-worth, and they want to be around us more. If you were around someone who was just talking about themselves all the time and how great they are, then you're going to get really annoyed really, really fast. But if you're around someone who brings out the best qualities in you, makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel special, makes you feel seen, then all you're ever going to want to do is hang out with that person and be around them all the time, you know?
Yeah, he really gets into self-worth in this chapter too. And he just talks about how when you're living in your self-worth and your authenticity, that, you know, it is very attractive to other people, and that's not the same as narcissism, you know. It's not even close. It's just, you know, when you're living with for your goal and your door. And it's weird that I felt like it was weird because I felt like he brought up a lot of the energy stuff and everything too, and I didn't quite see what it had to do with frailing. It seemed like it was more a addition to the last chapter. But I guess really kind of what it comes down to is charm. So when you have good energy and your meridians aren't blocked and you're practicing your energy stuff to widen your meridians, um and you're living towards your goal and your door, and then you practice frailing, you know, like your self-worth and everything shines through, and it really is very charming and attractive to other people, and you can affect the energy of everyone around you.
Yeah, it's like the firefly thing in Tufty, where he's, you know, talking about being a source of light, you know, and the more that you connect heart and mind, the more charm you exude, the more you're actively like really being more authentically yourself, and people feel comfortable around that and they're attracted to that and drawn to that. And that's really where your heart and your mind are creating like a positive feedback loop, where you love your heart and your mind, however he says it, like you love your heart with all your mind, but you have, you know, mutual adoration between the heart and mind, and that just exudes charm and starts to make people basically more endeared to you.
Yeah. He does talk about it in romantic relationships slightly, but I think it's more along the terms of attraction, because if somebody's just there, they're very like, they want you to like them, and or you want somebody to like you really, really bad. First of all, you're putting off a lot of um excess potential there, you know, putting a lot of self-importance on it. And then it's like you're probably coming off as an asshole, really. Instead of like, what is this person like? Listen to them talk. What do they like? Like, what are they looking for? You know, those type of things are more likely to get you in with the person and start a mutual attraction than being all about yourself.
Yeah, I have to say, because he basically throws his hands up about the idea of like romantic love or mutual love, whatever you want to call it. And he's like, that's beyond the scope of this. You know, I don't have the answers for that. And I'm like, me either, buddy. Fair enough. But
Join the club.
yeah, you're not the only one. But that is what everyone, well, not everyone, but it is what a lot of people are looking for and interested in. And we can talk about that. I would say that this chapter is more along the lines of learning to really establish more of a friendly relationship or a business relationship than it would be good practice for a romantic relationship.
Yeah, and I think it's good to delineate, because like we'll go ahead and like kind of go off the rail and talk about this a little bit, because I know somebody that you had interviewed a long time in the past who was an expert on reality transurfing, talked about sex, and that in the instance of sex that you should do frailing, and I thought it was really funny, because then I found this article that Vadim Zeland wrote. It's not in any of his books that I know of, but it was on Medium, I think it was, and it was specifically about sex, and he said, "No, with sex, you never practice frailing." I was like, "Oh, really? So this person was wrong." I like when people are wrong.
Yeah,
I like when experts are wrong. And he said, "Nah, dog. You don't do frailing in the bedroom.
That's
You
how he said.
become sex.
That's how he said it. He was
Yeah.
like, "Nah, dog." He was like in his
He
thick
said,
Russian accent.
yeah. Sex is an emotion and it's a feeling, so you need to embrace it and become it. So while you're having sex, in order to have really good sex and be really good in the bedroom, is to get out of your head, to not think about it, not think about the other person, and just become it. And I was like, oh, well, that makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some different elements that go along depending on the type of relationship you're establishing with someone. And so, yeah, so I do say like this particular chapter, learning about frailing, and really the whole book is more about, professional relationships, friendships, stuff like that for the idea of this. I mean, of course, this comes in handy
For
too.
finding your goal.
Yeah, this comes in handy
Or
too
do
if
you
you're in if you're in a romantic relationship. I don't want to convolute anything, but he does distinguish very much between like love and sex too, like love being something that is very much different than like primal, let's call it, attraction. That's something that's definitely those two things are not really the same thing. It's hard to lump them together. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Because so one is so much more primal and instinctual, and the other is more, I would say, like just conscious and higher on the level of awareness spectrum, and both of them are valid and relevant. And I think we all want to get both of those sort of going at the same time somehow, which they are very much paradox between the two elements. But just throwing that out there, that this is really not written about finding your twin flame. Okay, if you're going to try and meet your your person or whatever, or have a relationship that has, because you need polarity in most romantic relationships. This particular chapter, and really the book itself, is probably not the best guidebook for that. There's probably other stuff that you could look into. This is more like how to find ways to accomplish your goal while also helping other people accomplish theirs. So what is their inner intention? If you fulfill their inner intention, you are actively using outer intention in order to meet your own goal. So I'm going to try to think of some more examples of this. And I would love to hear anybody's examples if they have experienced this phenomenon called frailing in their life. And I'll give one example. When I first read this book, I ran into the Bell's grocery store down here. My grandmother, who's no longer with us now, but she was quite a character. Loved her very much. She needed some grapes and like some hard candies, grandma candy. And and so she sent me over to the grocery store, and I went and got those couple of things. And I just went and grabbed them real quick. I was kind of in a hurry, had something else to do, whatever. So I'm walking up to the checkout line and I'm about to check in. And then there's a lady here just walking up at the same exact time as me. And she's got a full grocery cart full of stuff, just packed to the hip, all the way. What, $600 worth of groceries now in 2024? It would have been maybe $75 worth back then when this happened. But we both get there at the same time. I look at her, she looks at me. I've got two things in my hand. She's got a cart full of stuff, and I go ahead. Like, I just waved her on to go before me. And then I think she just saw the absurdity of the situation, that I had given her the thing that I wanted, which was to get the hell out of there. And she goes, "No, you go ahead first," and she kind of laughed. Mm-hmm. And so, she let me go first. This is not a person that was particularly, I would say, sunny disposition. It was not a sunny disposition. It was someone who kind of seemed a little bit like they were having a tough day. And so I think they saw the silliness in the situation, let me go ahead of them. But to me, that was like one of the first times I noticed this phenomenon in action, and it kind of blew my mind. And it was really cool. So that's one example of this. And this is a specific idea, or is it a technique? I don't fucking know. I hate the idea of like anything being a technique. It just sounds so
I
manipulative.
know it does sound like manipulation.
So, yeah, so I'm definitely open to anyone else's ideas or experiences in how this works, because like, I don't know, in the South, like, we're really accustomed to manipulation. We guilt the shit out of people like, and each other in order to make things happen. It's just what it is. It's like part of the thing. But I don't consider this to be really manipulation. This to me seems like more like putting other people's needs and values, or at least being aware of them, because he even talks about how you can visualize them getting the things that they want, and that itself is frailing.
Yeah. And that's the whole, because it's really an energetic thing. If you think of it, everything as an energy exchange, then you're putting out the energy. So it's kind of like Reiki, which is energy healing, right? But you can do the same idea. If you have a meeting with somebody and you're afraid it's going to go bad, then think about that person. Freaking, what do they love to do? Do they love to freaking go fishing and stuff? Imagine them having a great fishing trip, and visualize it really well. And then before you meet with them, they're going to be way more it'll go better than you think. And so you can do this. It doesn't have to be fishing. It doesn't have to be something like that. You could just imagine yourself giving them love and comfort or whatever, and then the next day they're going to feel more comfortable in your energy when you have to meet with them.
Yeah, and he even talks about like sending basically good energy, good visualizations, good vibes, if you will, to people, just for no reason. I'll take, it's almost like a form of prayer, even, I would say, like, but just visualizing positive things for people. Like, let's say that you had a show, and then I just visualize you having an awesome show, and I'm sending you great energy, great vibes, visualizing that and putting that out there. It is helpful. He's saying that it does add to the energy. There's an infinite amount of free energy, and you're basically impressing that image onto energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and he says you can do really the same thing at like a party. Like if you sit there, you sit there and activate same thing. It's different actually, but it's the same idea, the energy of it all. So if you activate your meridians and, have your fountains going all around you, you can imagine it spreading out to all the people around you, and you can affect the energy of everyone there, like make them happier, make them in a good mood, make them more, friendly. And, he said, try it, do it. No, don't try it. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just thinking about other people, you know what I mean? I think that puts us ahead of 99% of people, and just taking a second. It's like the analogy of the fly against the window, pane, the fly against the window pane. And then you zoom out and then you notice that the other window's completely open. He's talking a little bit in here about jobs, and about like, even if you go in and you have an interview, you could be the perfect candidate, but you might screw yourself out of getting the job by being the perfect candidate if you're not thinking about what the interviewer themselves really needs, right? Like, they need the best candidate for the job based on the criteria they need to fill. So you could actually be perfect for it and not really demonstrate that you're exactly what they need, the interviewer, and then still not get the job.
Yeah. So, and then to take it a step further, he's talking about when you write your resume, you should always research which I have done this. So maybe I took it in when I read this chapter.
Maybe you just knew
But
it instinctively,
I don't think so. I think I got it from I must have got it from Reality Transurfing and just didn't realize it, that I was frailing. But when you write your resume and stuff, don't embellish don't lie about your bad qualities because they're going to show. And that's a importance thing, right? You're always going to they're always going to show. So you don't lie about those. Don't like try to give yourself a skill set you definitely don't have, because you'll end up having to demonstrate that. But research the company. What are their values? What are their core statements? What are they about? And then you need to reflect that in your resume. And the same idea, with the person interviewing you. If you know anything about them, you need to know, like should ask what they're looking for. And then whatever they're looking for, that's what you write into your resume.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, that's pretty clever, that's just doing some research too,
Yeah.
No, that's so smart. I love that. Let's
It is
see.
just research, but I mean, it's I guess but that's kind of what frailing is, right? What does the other person need? How can I help them to get that, or make them feel like they could get it? And then by doing that, how is that going to benefit me?
Yeah.
Or how could it possibly benefit me?
Yep.
In this human behaviors class I took when I was a psychology major, that was one of the biggest statements, was that no act is completely unselfish. Like everything you do is selfish.
I tend to agree. I think I think it can be that you do some unselfish acts, but 99% are, because even if you're doing something for somebody else, a lot of times it's for your own vanity.
For your gratification. Like,
Yeah,
if I buy
yeah.
you flowers, it's because I want you to be happy with me. It's not really because, like,
Maybe you're
I just bought you
guilty.
flowers. Yeah.
But exactly.
How's it gonna make me look? Right?
Exactly. One of the things he
But
talks
then,
about in this chapter that's really interesting too is argument, like getting into an argument and being right, you know, and how that doesn't really help you to, because whenever you are right and you sort of demonstrate your authority or that you knew better or whatever, you kind of make an enemy out of the person and you hurt their self-worth instead of really making your point. Even if you do make your point and you're right, he's like, you still lose the argument because you have alienated someone and made an enemy out of them.
and it does, because subconsciously the next thing that happens is they go home, they know they lost the argument, but then they think of all the ways that they were valid and that they were right. And so then, yeah, they're never like, consciously, it's never gonna be right between you two.
Yeah, I've had people sometimes tell me that I should push back more on the show, like when I have different people on the show who are like coming to talk about whatever. I've had some crazy people on the show. I've had, alien UFO researchers and people who are kind of maybe even clearly selling some sort of a snake oil. You know what I mean? It's like, do you push back on that? What's the positive that can come out of it? Maybe some drama on your YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a little bit more contentious, or there's a little bit of controversy, I guess, is the thing that could happen with that. And for me, though, I don't see the point really, for the most part, in challenging people too much, at least on this show. I mean, I'm open to have like a rousing debate about something that I think is important, or if everybody's on board for that and people have thick skin and they can, do that. But I'm like, what is the point? I also grew up listening to Coast to Coast AM and George Norrie and Art Bell before him. Really, Art Bell I fell in love with. I still like George Norrie, but he would let people talk about whatever it was. You know what I mean? Even if they were like wackadoo, man. Like we would have some crazy talks about some of the stuff that used to be on Coast to Coast back in the night. I mean, they would have people call in from the future when they had open lines. People talk about werewolves and vampires and all kinds of stuff. And I'm all for the exploration of different things. And then also, just like we're talking about now, if you want to prove someone wrong, then I don't know, what does that really add to the interaction? Maybe a little bit of temporary friction and and drama, but ultimately, what really good is that?
It kind of takes me back to the law of one, because the law of one says, if you choose the path of service to others, you only have to be 51% service to others. And I think that is because it is so hard to be genuinely unselfish. And but I mean, I think most of us want to be more of service to others. But I think that's why it says that if you choose the service to self path, you have to be like very negatively polarized, like 98% or something, 99%. And I really think that's because it's so easy to be selfish versus like being a little bit more than halfway concerned with other people.
Well, I think it's got to be almost actually hard to be that selfish. You know what I'm saying?
It probably is. It's probably more difficult than I think, but I'm just saying, I do think that humanity as a whole, maybe, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, we're all selfish. It's okay. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay to put yourself first.
Of
This
course.
is your experience, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
is.
know.
It is. Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I think it's interesting because it's a balance. I mean, we want to have win-wins, we want everybody to win. I think everyone
Yeah,
can win. And I think
we
that's
want
really what this does.
humanity to win. Yeah,
I
the
think
good
that's
guys.
Yeah, exactly. The good guys. And yeah, I think that's really what this chapter is about, right? It's acknowledging the fact that we are, yes, of course, selfish, self-interested, primarily concerned with ourselves, which, I mean, honestly, we don't own anybody else other than ourselves. So we should be, right? Like, be a good
Yeah,
steward with that. And then also looking out for the best interests of others. So it's not either or, it's in addition to, it's taking care of ourselves, and by using the skills and acknowledging other people, their existence, their talents, their abilities, then we can actively build them up too. And we're building ourselves up by building them up. It's a win-win. It's a synergistic type of relationship. I think it's really easy to just focus on yourself and try to get things from other people. And then you're not adding anything to their life. You're just taking from them, and they're going to get tired of that shit real fast. You're not going to get invited to hang around anymore.
yeah. You're working without our intention and maybe being a asshole, like an energy vampire.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I think that type of behavior now is more prevalent than ever. It's encouraged, and in a lot of places. I won't say everywhere, but it's just culturally, it's very strongly emphasized in the mainstream way of thinking and thought. And it's honestly, sometimes it's hard not to get swept up in it because it's just so prevalent.
Yeah, it is. But I see the good too. Like, I make sure that I do. Since I know reality's a mirror, I make sure that when I see the good things, that I mark them in my reality, so I continue to see them.
Yeah, that's great. Just highlighting those positive things, the good things. And then that's adding, right? Like energetically as well.
Yeah, it is.
Just like he was talking about, just visualizing those things, like it's like impressing onto free energy, whatever it is that you're visualizing. So you don't have to just make slides for yourself. You can make slides for other people. Maybe only caveats to that would be like, just be careful not to like do some witchcrafty shit, but just like thinking of things that they might like, or seeing them happy, maybe
What's
seeing
wrong
them.
with witchcrafty shit?
Well, not like black magic, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't be fucking with people's
Yeah.
wills, and like trying to like do all that. Because we were talking a little bit about the romantic aspect of this earlier, and he's and I agree with Vadim on this. He's like not into like visualizing specific people
Like, this person's gonna marry me. This is gonna be my person. Yeah, you can't do that. That's black magic.
That's manipulation. That's black magic. And so it's, if it's something you want companionship, and there's nothing wrong with liking anybody, and having and fancying someone or whatever. But it's like, if you're doing that as a slide, you need to do that without a specific person in mind and just see yourself, happy with someone, and then that's going to be a better practice anyway, because it's so easy to see someone as something that they're really not. It's so easy to romanticize and idealize someone when you get a crush on them, so you'll create this person out of them. You'll create a person out of them that they're not. And ultimately they'll disappoint you, unfortunately, but it's not even their fault. They were nothing other than the person that they just were, but you thought they were so much more or something, anyway.
And it's the same idea too, though, with a job. It's the same exact thing. So when you go and apply for a job, he said, pick the job that you really want to do. That is your goal. Like, don't worry about how hard it's going to be to get it. You just, play that gold slide. But then when you go and apply and stuff, it's the same idea of what you were talking about. Like, he said, first of all, don't ever send your resume more than once, because if they don't see it and they don't like it, like, your self-worth don't damage your self-worth by freaking making yourself feel low and having to apply again. Like, but he goes on to say more about it, that the job, if it's not yours, if you don't get the job, like, you need to look at it like that was the world saving you from something. So, because it was not your goal and it wasn't your door, it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea as with a person. It's like you're dodging a bullet by not getting that thing.
Yeah, it's really, it can be very hard because, like, I don't know what happens chemically. I've started like read a couple books. I read this one book called The Science of Kissing, which is pretty interesting. And then some of these other just books that I find randomly, and I'm like, huh, that's fascinating, and like look into just some of the different ideas about romance and stuff. But, with that, it's just a different process, and pushing something on a certain person or attempting to, I don't know how you would even say it, coerce, I guess. I think it's coercion, attempting to coerce somebody into something that's not.
Thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not. So instead, stay open to the flow of alternatives and look for what it is that you want. Because ultimately what you're looking for, if you're trying to get into a relationship, is an internal feeling of yourself, really. It's I think a lot of validation sometimes, unfortunately. I don't know, maybe that isn't unfortunate, but but it can be unhealthy validation. Even it could be like an ego sort of trip. But yeah, if something doesn't work out with that specific person that you have in mind or whatever, count your blessings, move on, and just instead focus on what it is that you really want. Just like the job, right? Like, you want to be doing what all day? What does that look like? Every job can have a glamorous interpretation, but if you don't actually like doing the thing that is required to do that job, then you're just going to be miserable in it. And you might have a status that comes along with it and maybe feel proud of that, but you're not going to be enjoying that job, and I think the same can be that way for a partner too. It's like you see somebody who's shiny, you're like, oh, I'd look good with them. People would think I was cool if I dated this person or something. Like, I don't even know, like, that's so crazy. But I think that can be a motivating factor. So if it doesn't work out, count your blessings. Just ask yourself what it is that you want. Like, what is it that you want? Why do you want to be in a specific sort of type of relationship? What are you trying to get out of that? What's the emotional payout for you, and how can you get that whether or not you're in a relationship?
So, what about the whole piglet thing? What point was he trying to drive home with that? Because, I mean, I thought about bringing up the whole piglet story here, but I'm like, really? I feel like he was kind of getting more back into balancing forces and stuff, but I don't know.
Will you just give us a short synopsis of the piglet story?
So he basically said, imagine that you always have a piglet in your arm and you're carrying this piglet around, and it's always squealing and making noise, and you know, sometimes you need it to not do that. So eventually, the only way to get it to stop is probably to set it down.
I'm
But
sorry. Yeah.
I don't know, what does it have to do with frailing? I guess like squeezing the piglet would be like driving with your inner intention and only caring about yourself instead of caring about the thing. Oh, because that's the thing. He does get into it. He gets into love a little bit, and he talks about that's the thing though, is that love is always about it's coming from a real place. It's not possession. It never is possession. That it's literally, you have to remember that if you love something, that the frailing part of that is allowing them to be who they are. And
Yeah, and allowing them to walk away from you and still
yeah,
loving them even if they do, which is the fucking hardest part, right? Like that's what we want. That's what our idea. I don't know if that's more of a cultural thing or if that's more biological. Like I said, I've been like, this stuff is fascinating to me. I can't help but want to understand a little bit better. But I think, that sort of lends itself to just like that true unconditional love. Like the example earlier in the book is not picking the flower, seeing the flower in the field and just admiring it there for what it is and not trying to pick it up and put it in a vase and watch it die. It's like, instead, we see something that we love, cherish, admire, and we just admire it for the sake of the fact that we admire it and it makes us feel a certain way inside. I think that's really what he's trying to point out, as opposed to trying to, again, probably coerce or force, manipulate some sort of an agreement or an arrangement to make us feel settled, to make us feel in control, like we are dominating that thing or controlling it somehow. And it's like the more that you try to take control, it's like water slipping through your fingertips. You're trying to pick up water.
and the more that you're able to love unconditionally without possession, the more that people want to be a part of that. They want, and that doesn't necessarily even mean romantic, it means in all situations. If you have a heart that is capable of unconditional love, then, you know, that is frailing, and people want to be a part of that. They want to feel that, and they want to be like, to have what you're willing to offer. And in respect, I think that you teach them what it means, and so that you also get that back.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it ultimately, honestly, like all of life, if there was a challenge, and I've said this, it's been a while, but I kind of came to this conclusion years ago. It's like, if there is a test or some meaning of life, it's to choose unconditional love, right? If there is a test, that's really, to me, what it would boil down to, and you're gonna frail naturally if you're coming from a place of unconditional love. You have no reason to do any inner intention. It wouldn't even make sense. You're not coming from a place where inner intention is part of the script. It's all outer intention at that point.
It is. Oof. See, I think I'm actually better at frailing than I think. I just, like, when I have to think about it, it doesn't feel like I do it.
Well, because that feels manipulative, I think,
Yeah.
right? It's like if you
Yeah,
do
so it
have to think
almost feels
about it,
cringy, and you're like, I don't know if I want to think about this.
yeah, ugh, like I have to think about like what kind of, vacation this guy wants to
Do you like
have.
that?
or whatever.
Yeah, I like the idea of sending people energy though. Like I'm gonna practice that a lot more
I'll take
because
all of
even
it.
though it's like yeah, it is well, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't even have to be selfish. It doesn't even have to do anything with
No.
me. I can just do it, you know?
Well, honestly,
So
I had a practice that I would do every morning, and especially a couple of years ago, where I would just think of people that I loved. It didn't have to be even a person; it could be a pet, an animal, whatever, something that you love. Just like I would wake up in the morning, immediately think of that, whatever that is, and it would inspire that feeling inside of me. That person that I admired or adored or loved. It could be anybody, my grandfather, or like I said, like a cat, an old cat we had, or something. Who knows? And then just begin to just focus on that. Now all of a sudden you are putting yourself into that energy of unconditional love, or at least a deep love, even if it is conditional, and radiating that out, and start to think of other people and send those salutations, to them, whatever. But it's also a win-win because you're getting the benefit of having those emotions and feeling really good inside of your body.
true. Yeah, that would be the payoff, huh?
So yeah, so like a gratitude list. One of the things that people talk about the most that people miss on a gratitude list is they write all the stuff down that they really are grateful for, but then they forget to feel the gratitude. It's like that's the
You know,
point.
yeah. Well, I used to start like that, like do a list of the things I wanted to a gratitude list. But what it evolved to, and I noticed, like, I've actually just noticed myself doing this recently. Like, I started just doing it right when I woke up before I got out of bed. I do just say out loud, like, all these things that I'm grateful for. Well, I thought I stopped doing it, but the other morning, I don't know, probably like 2 months ago, I noticed when I woke up, like, for whatever reason, my conscious mind kicked on and I was doing gratitude without even and I was feeling it. 'Cause it's like my soul is straight coming out of like the dream state and I'm just happy as can be and I'm just like giving all this gratitude. I don't even remember what I was saying I was thankful for. That's kind of like the amazing part of it all is that if you make it less of a practice and just start doing it, it's crazy what you do, what you come
Practice
up
is
with.
boring. Practice sucks. Play is fun.
It is.
And yeah, I'm trying to shift my language a little bit too. It's like I got to work on my act. It's like, well, that doesn't sound fun. Sit down and work on a comedy act. Like, yuck.
Yeah, it
Why would
sounds
you
like
want to do
hell.
that? It'd be fun to play with your act, though. That's a good time. You know. So sometimes little shifts like that can definitely help too. But that helped me. And I just do morning pages now is what I've done for probably the past right around 3 years. And I don't know. I might start doing the other thing again. I might just change something else. I'm doing that shit for 3 years. It's a long time.
Well, it's funny that you said that though about like play instead of practice because I guess that's an example is that when I was a classroom teacher, like this would be an example of frailing, but if you can make learning fun and you turn it into a game, like because what do my students want? They don't want to sit here with a freaking textbook and listen to me lecture and they don't want to take notes and they don't want to learn per se. But if I make it a game, I taught grammar. That's like the most boring subject in the world, but it was so fun that my kids love my class. Every kid that I see like now that's in high school that had me as their grammar teacher is like, "You are the best teacher." Like you always, I'll never forget your class. And it's because I made sure that learning didn't feel like a chore. So that would be failing.
Yeah, absolutely. What does a kid want? A kid wants to have fun, run around, have a good time,
Yeah,
play a game. So you turn learning into a game. Now all of a sudden, it's win-win. They're having
it
fun, they're
is.
getting what they want, and then you're doing what you need to do. You're getting your needs met as well. So that's a great example of it. I love that. Yeah, in Houston, actually, we're going to go through and do some. We're going to be messing with the forks, and so we're going to go and meet some folks in a class and play with the forks a little bit and do some vibrational stuff there. And I'm excited about that. So we'll try and make it. I was trying to think of a fun game to incorporate with it to make it a little bit more entertaining and engaging. That's fun.
I don't
Super
know.
fun. Super fun.
I'm sure you can think of something.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm really excited. But yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, dude, unconditional love, it trumps any technique.
It does.
And if you can actually truly love someone unconditionally, which I'm not saying that's easy, but if you can, he's like, dude, no one can find that. It's irresistible. No one can find that anywhere else, if you can. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting to love without attachment, but because I don't know if it's a cultural thing. Again, back to that. I don't know if it's more cultural or more biological, the idea or need to feel like you possess. It might be hormonal based on our biology. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but being able to overcome that and to truly just love someone for who they are, regardless of how they, because if you place conditions on it, it becomes a conditional relationship. Now it's out of balance, and it always will
Yeah.
be. Yeah. A lot to think about, but I really think that's the ultimate aim here, right? Come from a place of unconditionality, unconditional love. Allow everyone to be exactly as they are. Allow yourself to be exactly as you are. And then this idea of frailing will sort of take care of itself, and outer intention
Yeah.
too.
Even with people you think are assholes, because you can still love them. You might not like them. You know how to like everyone.
No, we don't like everyone. There's a reason that
Yeah.
it wouldn't be right if we did. There's too many people in the world.
Yep.
We have certain preferences, and I don't know. Some of that stuff might be pheromonal and chemical as well, which is
Well,
fascinating. All this stuff.
clearly, it's gotta be. Like, the whole possession thing, I wonder if it kinda stems from the whole Abrahamic religions really being very male dominant. I'm not saying, but females are possessive too, so it's not exactly true.
Yeah,
I was just kinda working through it, and I realized I'm wrong, so
no, it's fine. I mean, dude, it's that whole thing is so fascinating to me. It's kind of a new area of study, I would say, because from what I understand, if you read a book about like sex at dawn, then we can see that society was matriarchal. They didn't even know that there was a causal link between sex and
yeah.
pregnancy, right? So they all just worship the feminine. Everybody's just having sex with each other, and babies are just basically just falling out all the time, right? And so no one really understands that. If this is, this is one theory, one idea. I don't know if it's true or not. But then as we became more agricultural, then we became more patriarchal, and then it became more possessive. And there were probably a lot of needs that were being fulfilled by that evolution, and so now we live in this modern world, and we still have this old wiring, biological wiring that we had from thousands of years ago, but we live in a modern world. So our needs from a biological level are the same, but our needs in the modern world are completely different. So even within the past 100 years, look how much, society and culture has changed just since the Industrial Revolution. But anyway, so it's fascinating to me on that front. But again, if you can learn to adapt or adopt a disposition grounded in unconditional love, I mean, what else? You don't need anything else. That is
No,
winning. That is winning the lottery. That's as good
it
as I think
is.
you could do. And that's what I think all the spiritual books are really talking about. That's what else could enlightenment be other than just unconditional love?
Just seeing everyone as a fractal of God. Yeah. Because when you do, then you recognize yourself in them, even if they're totally weird. You just appreciate it, I think.
Well, for me, it's like that whole idea of like manifest a parking spot or whatever,
Mhm.
I don't see it that way at all. I really see it as coming from an emotional place of bounty, gratitude, appreciation. And then I always get good parking spots. I mean, especially when I'm driving around setting up shows and I've got a PA in my car and a bunch of lights and benches and chairs and all this kind of stuff. They just open up. It's weird. I'll just be driving down the road and somebody will back out right near where I need to park, and it's not because I manifested one parking spot. It's just my world takes care of me, I'm just coming from
Yes,
that
it
place.
does. Yep.
And so when I need whatever it is that I need, there it is. It's there.
It is there.
Paranoia. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, Becky just sent me that and I put it on my story. Hold on. I'll tell you what it means. But it totally reminds me of The Alchemist. Pronoia, the opposite of paranoia. It's the belief that everything in the universe is conspiring to support you.
Pronoia. Yes.
Pronoia.
Yeah. That's the whole book.
It is. Period. We summed it up in a sentence. That's a shorter summary than yours.
That's a single word. All right. I'm going to put that on Audible. You know what I mean? Thank you for reading the book. But yeah, that's a great word. I love that. And that is, yeah, really, really cool. Cool chapter. We're going to get into coordination next. I'm going to be gone this week, so we won't do one on whatever the 9th. We will do one on, that would be the 16th. So we'll skip next week. But while I'm gone and out, I'm going to try and at least put out a couple of videos. So, once again, if y'all have anything you can think of that could be a cool topic to cover, something you're curious about or have an idea about or whatever, shoot me a message. I'm open to all kinds of stuff. There's a lot in here. I feel like I could make a bajillion transurfing videos. I could just probably never stop making them. But
I know, huh?
Yeah. But I want to make the ones that count. I want to make the ones that people want to watch, right? Like from a Frailing and outer intention perspective, like I do get a lot out of making the content. It helps my knowledge. It deepens my knowledge. But I also want to make sure that it's something that's helpful for people. Where am I going? Oh, well, I'm so glad you asked, Ryan. I am going on tour. I'm headed to the panhandle of Panama City, Florida, then over to New Orleans, Louisiana for 2 nights of comedy, then over to Grimerica's Eclipse at the Canyon in Utopia, Texas for 2 nights, and then Austin, Texas for 2 nights, and then Houston, and then Panama City, Florida for 2 nights on the 12th and 13th. And I will be headed back home after that, but I'll be doing some comedy, making some videos, hanging out, meeting some amazing people along the way. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a big adventure road trip. Who doesn't love a great road trip? And I get to do some comedy. I'm featuring in New Orleans. I got 3 shows there. And then, yeah, and then I'll be making my way across Texas and back, and looking forward to it.
Do you know the name of the venue in Panama City?
Yeah, one is Mosey's and the other one is Little Village. So I'll be posting more stuff, and also on Instagram. I'll try and, if y'all are on Instagram, I don't know, probably some of y'all are probably more active on that platform than anywhere else personally. But obviously making YouTube videos too. So if you don't already follow me on Instagram, follow me over there. I'll try and document my travels over there too, making little short video stories and stuff like that. But I'll make some longer form videos for YouTube, and just basically, I want to talk about concepts. I don't want it just to be about, hey, I'm going here and I did this and look at this thing, but I will share some of that stuff on Instagram. It's shorter form content, it's like little stories and stuff like that. I like to put pretty flowers and stuff in my story anyway. When I'm walking around, I'll see trees blooming or birds chirping or whatever, and I'll throw that up there. Um, I don't have I have one GoPro, but it's old, so I don't think I'll be using that too much. I'll be using my phone, and then I've got a Sony camera that also I'll be shooting some stuff with. But yeah, we're stopping at what people claim to be the Fountain of Youth tomorrow, Ponce de Leon Springs in Florida. And then I'll be on the beach. I'll make a video on the beach in Panama City Beach this next couple of days. Then we'll shoot over New Orleans. Then near San Antonio for the Grimerica thing. Then Austin, Houston, and back to Panama City. So if y'all are anywhere around those parts, hit me up. Shoot me a message, and love to hang out and see you. And hang out and make sure that you kick it on the Secret Society of Good Guys streams on Fridays. Abby, tell everybody about what y'all are doing.
We like to shoot the shit. Last week we shot the golden shit. That's just the name of our episode. So if you're not already liked and subscribed to Secret Society of Good Guys, we usually pick a topic and we run with it. We dress up because we like to be fun like that. And we get into the philosophy of it. We get into conspiracy. We talk about there's no limits. We don't have any limits. We lean in. So whatever we're talking about, it gets weird, and we like it weird. Weird is fun. So we usually run about 4 hours on Friday nights, and we do another little 2-hour live stream with just the Secret Society of Good Guys Girls. And that one's a primetime show. So we do it from like 9 to 11, I would say, Central Standard Time. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out, folks. And thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I hope you got something out of this stream. I enjoyed it. I think we kind of came to a really good conclusion because, like I said, this is a chapter. This technique, if you will, is something I have to feel like I haven't practiced enough. I'll reach out to a lot of people and say, hey, what's going on? I run rooms in Athens and I'm looking for a spot on your show. It's like I'm leading off with value, trying to give someone what it is that they might want first, and doing those types of things. But it's not something that I feel like I've mastered the art of at all as far as it goes. But that said, when we come from that place of unconditional love, it's kind of more of an automatic thing. It's not something that I think we have to try to like strategize about. It's like, and it's okay to ask for things too. One of the things that he says, he talks about gypsy hypnosis in this chapter too. I forgot to mention
that.
Oh,
he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you get on and you start to talk to somebody, then if you can get them to say yes 2 or 3 times, then they'll already be predisposed. You can ask simple questions and get simple yeses, but they'll already be in that mindset and they'll be open and more likely to say yes. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, the old gypsy hypnosis. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention that he talked about in the book or in this chapter. But I can't remember what it is now. I forgot it. But anyway.
You took good notes this week too, I see.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was really good. Unconditional love. I mean, if you come from that place, whatever. You got nobody to apologize to. You got nobody to try to impress. Whatever, dude. The dude abides, I guess, if you will, sort of thing. Okay. Word. All right. Thanks, everybody. What a lively chat. Y'all are amazing. Thanks so much for being here. You're great, and we appreciate you. Like I said, I'll be shooting out a couple of videos over the next couple of weeks. So I will be doing stuff. So be checking back, but we will have Abby and I back together on I think that would be the 16th of April. So we will be back in 2 weeks. So we're just taking a short minute because I'll be on the road.
It's a hiatus.
Yes. It's like a mini hiatus. It's like the cutest, tiniest teeniest hiatus that's ever been taken. It's not even really.
What's it called on my TV show when they like kind of do a little pause before they finish the rest of the season?
I don't
Like they
know.
do like
Like a
like they'll do it like the back when you used to have to watch a TV show, wait every week, then like, 10 weeks in, they decide to just do a recap everything and you don't
yeah,
get a new episode. You have to wait.
that's fun. It's just more edging. That's what we're doing. We're edging.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Keep you wanting more, baby.
That's right. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to sum up some of the stuff we've talked about in one of the videos. But I'm really excited to see the Fountain of Youth. It looks really pretty. It should be gorgeous. I mean, it's spring now, so some of the videos that I shoot should look really cool just for the sheer fact that everything's in bloom. So yeah, so check back. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. You guys are amazing. Much, much love and many, many blessings to each and every one of you and all the people around there. I'm frailing you hard right now, everybody.
Same.
Just visualizing everybody chilling in a quantum hammock, with their dreams coming true. Just a nice cool breeze and a sunny, clear day. All right. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Much love. And yeah, please pass this along if you enjoyed it. Share it out, like it, comment, join the Telegram, join the Facebook group if you're on there. And thank you so much. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.
Bye.